Kamala Harris's anti-Trump trash talk is starting to catch up to her. The VP has been hitting the campaign trail and daring the former president to compare records on top issues. Donald Trump says, challenge accepted.
In one of the most astoundingly phony moments in her speech last night, Kamala Harris bragged that, quote, "I will proudly put my record against Donald Trump's any day of the week. I will put it against Donald Trump." This got one of the worst records in anywhere. Well, Kamala, let's go. Challenge accepted. Are you ready? On the one hand, you have a radical left puppet candidate who is fake, fake, fake. And on the other hand, you have a president who will fight, fight, fight for America.
And now it seems Kamala is trying to distance herself not only from her own past, but from Biden's as well. Axios reporting that the VP has thrown Biden's democracy re-election strategy right out the window and is instead focusing on freedom and the future. Harris putting that message to the test at the rally by saying the American people can do better with a president like her.
Donald Trump has openly vowed, if reelected, to be a dictator on day one, that he will weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. The American people deserve better. The American people deserve better. The American people deserve a leader who tells the truth, a leader who does not respond with hostility and anger when confronted with the facts.
Okay, Brian, I'll start with you. It seems that Kamala is ditching democracy as a theme that Joe Biden was using for his re-election campaign, that it's not so much about democracy anymore, and in both rallies she never used the word democracy, and instead is using the word freedom in the future, freedom from poverty, freedom from guns, freedom to have an abortion. Threats to democracy don't seem to be the issue for her.
We've been saying that for a long time. In fact, you'd read a lot of these publications saying threat to democracy was not resonating against Trump. Everyone kept bringing it up, but they kept saying it as if they were reading a different study. And also, it causes a lot of people to think it's extreme. If Donald Trump loses, my country's over. If such and such loses, we're never going to be the same. When you say it's a threat to democracy, it's a threat to the foundations of the country. So I actually think this pivot is a little bit more responsible. But the biggest story so far is who Kamala Harris thinks she is, because she has totally changed her stance on everything on the fly, but not in person. She's done it through anonymous surrogates in various publications. I mean, when it comes to energy, when it comes to fracking, when it comes to offshore drilling, she actually supported a guaranteed income and a guaranteed job, a guaranteed green job. Obviously, that's not sustainable. That's not possible. She no longer stands by that anymore. She no longer thinks we should get rid of private health care. So if you're Donald Trump, you're saying, who am I running against? Her past, the vice president, the attorney general, the DA, the senator? Because I did my studying. Nothing she is talking about is stuff that she's accomplished or wants to accomplish. It's the strangest thing. And my last thought about it is the reason why we're at this place, and it is unprecedented, is because we haven't had a primary to screen it. They haven't went back and forth. Governor Shapiro wasn't sparring with Pritzker, who was sparring with the vice president about this issue to see what emerged. Instead, it's like, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet the new Kamala Harris. That's the one who's going to be running, not necessarily governing, against the former president.
Jesse, in line with that, it seems that Kamala Harris is taking the core issues of the Republican Party and adopting them. Now, she's no longer for banning fracking. She is now into single-payer health care. She also is not into the mandatory gun buyback. I mean, is the American public that gullible? Or is she
yes, they are. Yes, we are. It's going to be close. And if we had a fair press, this would be a landslide. Yep. Democrats would never win another national election again if we had a fair press. 3 months before the election, this woman comes out and she has a record that says, I want to get rid of ICE, private health care, guns, and then says, actually, I don't believe any of that. And it's like Trump coming out tomorrow and saying we're not going to do the wall and we're going to raise taxes. What? No. And so the media usually would be curious. Why? What happened here? No. They're scrubbing the internet from this stuff. And then they're censoring pictures of Donald Trump and searches for Donald Trump. And the Democratic Party doesn't even care. The Democratic Party doesn't care what her beliefs were, what she believes now. They don't even know her record. Do you see these interviews of these people that go to the rallies? They don't even know what she's ever done. All they care about is abortion, and she calls Trump a dictator. Hell, let's go ballot harvest. Here we go. Her record is so bad you can't afford rent, you can't afford a house, highest illegals, highest gas. It's a mess. You look at Trump's record, guy's an American hero. You had peace and prosperity. People were like long for the days of 4 years ago, Donald Trump. They were better off 4 years ago. And he just dodged an assassin's bullet, and he survived a prosecutorial misconduct. This should not even be close, but it is because we are so corrupt and stupid as a country.
You know, Dana, doesn't it come down to the 4 years of governance under Trump, and then 4 years of governance under Biden and Harris?
Yeah, so I think that leading up to this sudden change with the Democrats, a lot of people were saying, my gosh, prices were so much more affordable during the Trump administration. If you saw like all these people we would interview, and it showed it in the polls, that they were like, I never thought I would vote for a Republican, but I think I might vote for a Republican. I always think about Guy Benson's Uber driver in Milwaukee from a year ago. And she said, she's a black woman. She said, I've voted Democrat all my life. She said, but I can understand that my entire family plans to vote for Trump this next year. And that was a year ago. So then you go forward and all of a sudden everything changes immediately. I do think that Kamala Harris's answers are a little bit like cotton candy, and that they would melt on contact if she did any interviews. Okay, so because a lot of the interviews, if you look at some of the clips, like the Conservative War Room has something on X today, where it's like almost a 4-minute clip of just her being asked questions in the few interviews she's done over the years, but they weren't on Fox. These were interviewers from all sorts of different places asking her about the border, asking her about healthcare or the economy, and they're terrible answers. So if she were to do an answer, and I think her people know, an interview, and I think her people know this is why, which is why she's not doing an interview. She is spending this honeymoon period to define herself, redefine herself. She is the new Kamala. We've had 20 new Kamalas since the beginning of the administration. I think she's very smart to turn and say, my message is about freedom and the future. And she also says we are not going back. And Biden's letting her do that. It's like, because he knows that if she succeeds, he's going to be a hero.
Yes.
If she fails, they will say the cover-up about his health was a huge scandal, and it's on both of them.
All right, Harold, I'm not sure
You
that...
sound like you're mad that you have to come.
No, I love
right,
Harold.
Harold.
You know that. Okay, but look, I think they're both searching for messaging. What do you think the message is for each of them?
So good to be with you. Good to be with Brian. One quick thing that I'm so happy that Evan is a part of his family here in this company here. Welcome home to I know his family has to be pleased. He's free from the gangsterism of Putin, and it took a lot of work and a lot of effort. I'm sure we'll hear a lot more in the coming days. To this issue here, this is why if I were President Trump, and we talked about this yesterday, I would be eager for a debate with Vice President Harris. Because if all the things, and I don't necessarily agree with all of the things you guys have said about her, I do think that she's offering different positions. I think she might be genuine. I think she's more genuine than you may be giving her credit for. But one thing is for certain, if I was running against her and I believe the things you guys are saying, and I believe as firmly as you do, I'd say, let me have a debate with her. Let me point out for the American people to be the final judges and arbiters, because ultimately it's the voters who are going to make that decision. If we had all the prosperity that you guys say that we had under President Trump, and there's no doubt we had some, I think there were more jobs created in the last 4 years than he created in his 4 years. But these are things that you litigate and you try to acquit yourself in a convincing and persuasive way, an incredible way in front of voters. When you change your mind about something, again, I think it's constructive. I think when new facts and circumstances and developments present themselves, what you want in a politician or a leader of any organization is maturity, is seriousness. And workers...
She changed her mind about everything.
Right.
So,
Without
but
explanation.
Brian, then Donald Trump should be eager to debate her. He should come to Fox tomorrow.
He's gonna, though.
Yeah, he is.
I understand it, but you can't out of one side of your mouth say, how is it that people can believe her when she has no credibility on these issues? But polling data suggests that this race is a dead heat. So if I were running on the other side, I'd be eager to get her in a setting so I could point to all of the shortcomings, all of the inconsistencies, and what you guys are saying, frankly, all of the hypocrisy.
I think it's happening.
It is happening.
I think it's happening September 10th.
But you do agree she's made a 180
for an interview in between that.
Well, but Judge, no one likes to hear this, but there were 180s made by J.D. Vance on President Trump. I believe J.D. made a credible and legitimate 180-degree turn. He had every right to.
He explained it.
And so should she.
Right.
And so if you get her in a debate,
that's
Brian,
not a fundamental policy. Whether you like somebody or you dislike someone. This is about how you believe the future of the country should be on energy, on taxes, on health care, on pretty much everything, Harold.
I understand, but if I say to you, Jesse, if I said to you a year ago, I'd call you terrible names, and I come back and say I really like him, people can believe him, but they're going to want to know why.
Yeah,
and I would tell them
I'm very vivacious.
benefit.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.